This week on HomeKit News, the Aqara Curtain Driver E1 with Zigbee. So here's the latest device from Aqara, which is the Curtain Driver E1, and in my case this is the rod version that works with curtain rods. The E1 works not only with HomeKit but also Amazon, Google and IFTTT, and as it uses Zigbee you'll need one of the company's Zigbee 3 hubs, although the Camera Hub G2H Pro isn't listed as a compatible hub at this time. This particular model works with curtains that use top rings or grommets, but Aqara also provide a model that works with I-rails and U-rails. So what's in the box? The main part is the motor itself, of course, and if you're interested, here are a few specs and features, including up to 12 months of battery life courtesy of its built-in 6400 mAh battery and a built-in light sensor, which we'll see shortly. In addition, there's the rod hanger accessory for holding the motor onto the rod, a USB cable for recharging the internal battery, a manual that comes in a variety of languages, and two parts whose functions aren't actually explained in the manual, although I believe they're designed to help keep the curtains in a uniform shape. So a closer look at the motor reveals that it has a pair of hooks that connect to the rod hanger accessory we saw earlier, a small LED indicator, a multifunction button, and the aforementioned light sensor. The top of the motor has a rubberized wheel that connects to the rod in order to move the motor along, taking the curtains with it. And finally, the underside of the motor features a USB-C port which is used to recharge the internal battery. Here's the brief setup procedure for the hardware, starting with placing the hanger on top of the curtain rod and clicking the two sets of arms into place. Next, press the button twice to extend the hooks, and once they're ready the driver will beep 3 times. You can now simply connect the hooks to the hanger arms, then press the button twice to retract the hooks. The motor will detect when the connection between the roller and the rod is correct and stop, followed by 3 beeps. As with nearly all Aqara accessories, adding it to the Aqara app is easy peasy, with the usual steps of selecting the device from the menu, selecting the hub that it'll bind to, and then pressing the button until pairing is complete. Once that's done, you still need to set up the open and closed limits for the motor, with 2 options offered. I went with custom, which allows me to stop the motor at a point of my choosing via the controls within the app. I'll now quickly show you the motor opening and closing in real time with a single demo curtain I set up for this review. Now, after having tested out the Zemismart curtain motor, the speed of this one is a lot faster than I expected, although it does depend on the weight of your curtains, of course. I'm just going to close the curtains again, and here's a quick cutaway to show you the motor in relation to the curtain it's pulling. You might not be able to tell from this video, but the noise from the motor is louder than I'd like, but we'll look at that later. Here's another clip to give you an idea of the motor's noise. I was using the Home app for these controls, and as you can see they're straightforward with just the one tile that expands to a slider control. In the settings you get battery levels, as well as obstruction detection and whether the unit is being charged. The ambient light sensor is pretty basic and is only exposed to the Aqara app, but it can be used quite effectively, as you can see in this demo, where the blinds close, bringing the ambient light down low enough to trigger a curtain automation. Here's the automation as set up in the Aqara app. Automations in the app are quite powerful, with lots more options to control the curtains than in HomeKit. One useful feature is where the motor can detect that the curtains are being tugged, with the motor responding in kind by opening or closing the curtains in the same direction of the pull. Finally, to a short noise level test. After having tested the company's roller shade driver E1, this is a little louder, but in all honesty still not something that would bother me even in the morning, as I would usually already be awake if I was opening the curtains. Onto the pros and cons, and the build quality is actually quite impressive, as it feels really well put together with no creaky feel or any loose seams. As already mentioned, it's quite fast and seemingly a lot faster than the Zemismart model I previously tested. Aqara state that this will work with Matter via the relevant updates to their hub, although I'm not sure if window coverings are part of the initial batch of categories for Matter. Setup was quite easy, which I've really come to expect with Aqara, whose approach to directing the process has improved a lot over the years. Although I like the manual open feature, there is a concern it could allow the curtain motor's position to drift over time, so it's something to bear in mind. And finally, regarding the light sensor, it only has a basic threshold between light and dark, but it still works as expected in my tests, and you can also use a dedicated light sensor if you prefer. So that's our take on the Aqara Curtain Driver E1. As always, if you have any questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments section below. If you like this video, do like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so already. In the meantime, stay safe and watch some Laurel and Hardy shorts.